Ugh.
What's wrong, Jack?
I've had the worst day. My Egyptian student punched a Saudi student.
What happened?
To be honest, I don't really know. My Saudi student called him a cat, and the next thing I knew, everyone was shouting in Arabic, and then the Saudi got punched.
What Jack's describing may sound dramatic, but this kind of tension is more common in ESL classrooms than we think. Teacher and researcher Christina Ortmeyer has this to say.
So what do you think happened in my class?
I think your students may be having issues accepting cultural difference.
I just wanted to pretend it hadn't happened.
Right, but if you treat cultural differences like they don't exist, you're shutting out the students' life experiences. Okay, let's talk about learning theory. Research shows that people learn when their prior understandings are activated. Cummins argues that students' cultural knowledge is an important resource in enabling learning. And students will only engage academically to the degree that the classroom affirms their identities.
So I need to acknowledge my students' differences? Should I separate cultural groups that don't get along?
Be careful. This is often an easy default for teachers, especially those with few resources, little support, and minimal training.
So it won't work? Why?
Well, let's go back to the research. First of all, be really careful about lumping students into cultural groups. Don't assume that everybody from one country will have the same behavior and experiences. Gutierrez and Rogoff prefer to see students as participating in a cultural practice rather than possessing an inherent trait. That way, we don't limit our understanding of their behavior. Ortiz shares this example of good intentions gone wrong. Now think about an ESL classroom. You want to acknowledge, respect, and even make use of cultural differences, right? Segregating your students can't and won't be helpful to your learning environment. Bell Hook says that for students to free themselves from prejudice, teachers need to show themselves as vulnerable and open to the same risks. Practice what you preach, right? Finally, language learning is about communication. Limiting the supply of people students can talk to just doesn't make any sense.
So if I stereotype my students, there's a good chance that they'll stereotype each other too?
Yeah, and your students may walk into the classroom with those assumptions already in place. It's our job not to reinforce them, and if possible, to break those stereotypes down.
Alright, now I know the problem. What options do I have?
First, you'll want to reflect on any cultural biases and misconceptions you're bringing to the classroom. Ask yourself questions like, how do I categorize my students? What behavior bothers me? And what do I expect my students to know about language, classroom behavior, and pop culture in Canada? Okay, now what can you do in the classroom? I have 3 key suggestions. First, Cummins suggests identity texts, which is creative multimodal work produced by students and infused with their identities. He describes them as a mirror in which their selves are reflected back positively. Identity texts help students invest in learning and also help the teacher and other students see them as individuals instead of stereotypical members of a cultural group. Second, make use of your students' skills and knowledge in the classroom. They'll feel legitimate and valued. Remember, you want specific funds of knowledge here. Don't ask your Japanese student how to roll sushi just because she's Japanese. Try to find out her real expertise. Your goal is to create a community where knowledge and identity are more than skin deep. Finally, encourage reflection in your students too. Talk about culture shock regularly. Ask thinking questions, and don't forget to provide them with specific strategies and function language for navigating moments where they feel offended or culture shocked, or if they think they've offended someone else.
Anna, thanks a lot. I'm going to try these strategies and I'll let you know how they work out.
Great! And if you're looking for further reading, check out these researchers whose work inspired this video.